So, do I still want to own the van? I think your vehicle of choice is a good representation of your traits and your sensibilities. Does the van reflect that in me? Is that a good representation of who I am? If you own an economical car, a Japanese engine, older, affordable, it represents you as a person. You make thrifty decisions, you're budget-minded, you think about the long term. Or if you have money problems and you go down to the local dealership and you just choose whatever's on the lot, you're having money issues in your life. And for me, I own a van because of my prepper mentality. I have this survival mode, this hobbyist in me that is always preparing for the next disaster, whether it be a huge economic crisis or a personal economic crisis in my life. I wanted this bed on wheels, a place that I could call home, that's always there no matter what in case shit hits the fan. It's got electricity, there's a place to sleep, place to prep food, it's got it all for survival. So I think the vehicle that you choose is an accurate reflection of the person that you are. You know, I suppose this would extend to all choices in life. I mean, you're making choices throughout your day. Every decision you make reflects upon the person that you are. But I think the vehicle is just easy. Everyone has a vehicle. You can make a snap judgment on a person. Maybe you don't even own a car, and that's a reflection on how you view your minimalism and your impact on the world. Or maybe you choose a van that's very small, and it reflects your conservatism towards the environment. And like, you don't want to make a huge impact on the environment, so you choose to live very small in a small van. So the vehicle that you choose to drive, you can just make a quick snap judgment on people based on what they choose. I've always found that to be true. And I wonder to myself, does the van fit me as a person? I feel maybe I've outgrown the needs for the van. And honestly, I think that I still have that prepper mentality. I still want something like the van, but I've replaced that. I've grown, and my needs have changed, and I've purchased this RV. And gosh, it saves me half the cost of rent every month, so already it's paying for itself. So I've still got something in my life that's not just the van, the RV, something that I can call my home base in case shit really hits the fan. I don't regret owning the van. I've kind of repurposed it into more of a hobby now. It's a way to work on my hobbyist electronics, plumbing, electrical kind of stuff. It's been an awesome adventure mobile, and it's served me pretty well. So I've done 3 multi-month road trips, and I've kind of got the bug of travel out of my system for a while. In my line of work, there's a lot of contracting, and between contracts, it's very easy to take the off-ramp of the career and just take a few months off, but that ends up with a gap in your resume, and it can make seeking employment a little bit more difficult. And it's been said that contracting work is just kind of the direction that the economy as a whole is taking. Less W-2 workers, more 1099 contractors. When I have a contract that ends and I get a helping hand from someone and they say, hey, you did really good work, give me a call in 2 weeks and I'll see what I can do for you. But instead I say, hey, I'm going to take the career off-ramp for a couple months, go on a road trip, and I'll look you up when I get back. Well, relationships are always in a state of decline, and if you don't continuously nurture relationships, they atrophy. 4 months later, they've moved on with their lives and their projects, and they've forgotten about you. And now you're desperately seeking work. So of course the van is good for long durations of unemployment, but if you think about it, didn't the van kind of get me into this predicament in the first place? If I was just to not take that off-ramp, call the person back in 2 weeks, I'd be gainfully employed. And my life has changed. I value a relationship over a solitude lifestyle, being single. And doing that, there are certain requirements and responsibilities that come with that, of course, right? But I have to ask myself, maybe the van has actually hindered my career. And because of those snap judgments that I mentioned earlier, you know, it's society as a whole that's making these snap judgments. They don't see my van and think to themselves, oh, hey, that's a smart fella. He's really good with electronics, pretty techie. He's equipped his van with a way to harness free energy from the sun. Wow, that's pretty cool. Gee, look at those blacked out windows. He sure has taken a lot of time to make sure there's no light leak, and he's not a burden on the police that have to investigate community complaints that turn out to just be unfounded. No, they see a creeper van, man. They don't know what to think. They see something that they don't understand, and they attribute it to their own fears and uncertainty. They see a person that has chosen a different lifestyle than theirs, and so it must be bad. And this is why I don't tell people that I have a van or I live in an RV. I relegate to parking my van far away from work so that nobody sees it, and then I walk to work. It's why I don't give rides to coworkers anymore. And it's not because I'm ashamed, it's because I'm protecting myself from bigots and fearmongers that like to spread gossip. I did this post-mortem. I spent 15 minutes going through my history of employment and just talking about what could be improved. And it's a great exercise. Spend 15 minutes doing it. It will enlighten you. One theme that kept popping out is that shortly after coworkers had discovered that I was living an alternative lifestyle, not the LGBT kind of alternative lifestyle, but in a van, or I live in an RV. Well, shortly after that, by a couple months, and it's happened more than once, my contract had ended. And with contracts, you can be gone on a whim. You're a 1099 employee. They don't have to worry about paying unemployment insurance or anything like that. I have a video. It's received something like 120,000 views, and I'm not proud of it. And it's not a video that I spent a lot of time on. It's just something that I filmed, put up, like a lot of my videos, and it sort of went viral, on a small scale viral. And I wish it didn't work like that. I wish the videos that I spent a lot of time on would go viral, but so is the way of YouTube, That's how it works. So in that video, I get kicked out of the work parking lot, and I'm using my RV to commute to work. I have an RV park that I was staying at, but I use it to commute. I didn't have a commuter car with me at the time. I had just moved to the Bay Area to find work. What isn't mentioned in that video is the after effect. There was a seed of doubt planted, and it grew. I was an outsider at that point. I was no longer seen as a corporate lemming that was tied to ungodly high rent in the Bay Area or the debt servitude that a mortgage ties you to. And it wasn't long before my positive reviews and encouragement turned into spite. More workload and unrealistic expectations were placed on my shoulders. And it wasn't long before they hired a manager from eBay, which is a horrible place to work if you read the reviews. It wasn't long before they hired a manager from there to make my life hell. He just micromanaged everything and took everything out of context and started writing me up. I got written up once, and I was smart enough to realize that there's no getting out of that, so I put my resignation in. I didn't want a blemish on my employment record. I mean, all in all, it was a horrible place to work, and immensely so after my coworkers discovered that I was living in an RV. And when I was in Thailand trying to find myself, I came to the conclusion that I want to experience retirement throughout my life, and that's working spurts, because I see so many people take that retirement gamble and lose, and that's because they experience premature death. But that's beside the point. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm focusing on life differently. I want to make these more my earning years, and I want my employment to be more solid, and that means being a W-2 worker again. But my point in all this is an example of society's snap judgments, and living an alternative lifestyle in a van or RV can be detrimental to someone's career. So I'm left with these concerns and this personal question for myself. Is the van still the right vehicle for me? And I'm just not sure anymore. I mean, what an experience it has been. What an adventure. I see myself, or how I'd like to see myself, as more of a man of action. And I'm just enjoying the journey of productivity right now. I'm using a couple apps to structure my time, and I totally recommend it. Productivity app. It's called Todoist, T-O-D-I-S-T. It's cross-platform for iOS or Android. I personally love gaming, and it's got this gamification aspect to it where you kind of like earn points for completing tasks. So I really like it. I also use an app on Android called Multi-Timer, and it just allows you to time box things so that you don't just get lost in like making YouTube videos. I can spend up to 5-6 hours. But anyways, I'm more about, right now in my life, I'm more about setting goals, attaining them, and just being productive. And I'm living a drug and alcohol-free lifestyle to keep my head clear, and I'm just taking baby steps. I mean, I love playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like the difference between going 0 mile per hour and 1 mile per hour. As long as I'm making a step in the right direction, I'm happy. My life has changed, and my goals have evolved to things that I was blind to before. My shit hits the fan model has changed, and it's not so much about the larger economic crash, and I prepare for that because we all know it's coming, right? But I'm still planning in that area. I no longer need the van. I have the RV for that, and it's good for having a relationship, and I think that's very healthy. What's more impacting me now are my long bouts of vacation between employment. And so you have to ask myself, is the van helping with that, or is it actually hindering? And you have to look at my configuration now. I've got a big fifth wheel, and then I've got a van. Well, I can't tow the fifth wheel, so that leads me to what kind of vehicle represents me, Bayward. I mean, obviously, I need something to tow this big bad mother effer of a fifth wheel, this Montana. So I need a 3/4 or a full ton truck to tow this big thing. I want it to be able to tow. I want it to have some versatility to be able to store stuff from the rain, so some compartments back there, maybe a camper shell, or maybe even one of those slide into camper dealies that like Mike from Living Free has, that maybe I can keep that in storage somewhere. I mean, the ultimate plan, of course, would be for me to get some land and park the RV there, have some storage space. You know, I want it to be shiny and new, and that also means that there's going to be a lot of debt incurred, and I have an aversion to debt. I still have to pay off this fifth wheel. So that's kind of the long-term plan, and I'm just questioning these things, and I'm just putting these thoughts out there. I don't know that I'll necessarily follow through with this. I'm just brainstorming. And that's all I had, guys. Thanks for hearing me out. I also want to hear from you. Has society made any snap judgments based on your vehicle? Has it affected you in any way? You know, please share that in the comments. I'd like to hear. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, click the like button, and we'll see you later. You've got a friend in Bayward.